Welcome back to Seryla Philosophy, Episode 4, Human Survival with Our Creator, Physical Existence. Let's get started. Paragraph 1. Our survival is connected to our physical world. Deist Susannah Newcome wrote, Bibliography 5, page 9, quote, "And as there are no innate ideas of a God, so likewise we can have no proof of such a being a priori. And if there is really such a being, we can only come to a knowledge of his existence from the consideration of existence of things." End of quote. We can come to know our Creator and creation from our consideration of physical existence. Physical existence is the source to our knowledge of our Creator, as physical existence is our Creator. Truth and reality does not come to us from within our minds. The reality of our existence comes to us by our senses and in our maintenance of this reality. We must maintain this relationship to our ideas. Nevertheless, we currently ignore our physical existence when we move the idea of reality around in our minds to our ideas of morality and justice. For us to have accountability of thought, we must stay connected to our physical existence and our reality. It is then that we can progress. Volney wrote, Bibliography 6, page 34, quote, "Let man study these laws. Let him understand his own nature and the nature of the beings that surround him, and he will know the springs of his destiny, the causes of his evils, and the remedies to be applied." End of quote. Paragraph 2. Our concept of reason and rational thought must incorporate this maintenance of incoming reality to our ideas. Seneca wrote, Bibliography 7, page 119, quote, "Philosophy is divided into moral, natural, and rational. The first concerns our manners, the second searches the works of nature, and the third furnishes us with propriety of words and arguments and the faculty of distinguishing, that we may not be imposed upon with tricks and fallacies. The causes of things fall under natural philosophy, arguments under rational, and actions under moral. Moral philosophy is again divided into matter of justice, which arises from the estimation of things and of men, and into affections and actions, and failing in any one of these, disorders all the rest." End of quote. His three aspects of morality, nature, and rational thinking were correct in every way except one. The relationship between nature and rational was not defined in a way to make human ideas accountable. We have to define our words and arguments to nature. The faculty of distinguishing was never defined other than a vague reference to nature. What Seneca did was what all other rational philosophers have done in history. They had a rational sense that the physical existence was the basis for understanding. We simply need to sense and base off physical existence. That was the missing piece, as simple as it is. With this understanding, we can begin to align ourselves to the realities to which we live in. Let us start with the simple basics. Paragraph 3. It's a wonderful spring morning. Around me are mesquite trees, young in their leaves. They are light, bright, and held by the dark, darting lines of their branches. The Palo Verde trees hold tiny yellow specks of sun-colored flower petals. They cover the tree like a cap of warm and brilliant bubbles. The birds move with excitement and with song, surrounded by the youthful life growing around them. The quail chortle while they look for safe places to nest. Spring is the time of rebirth, and it reminds us of the beauty of the physical world. Paragraph 4. Physical existence is our ecosystem. Physical existence surrounds us. No matter where we are, this is true. Physical existence is the ocean to which we live and swim. Under the right conditions, it is where we breathe and nourish. It is what we are to know. Paragraph 5. Physical existence is our creator. Physical existence creates us from the action of the physical material under its natural law. Physical existence is our source to determine how we must act to survive. It is our foundation of development and growth. It created our bodies and minds. It maintains our life. It also sources us information in how we are to conduct our lives. Paragraph 6. Our physical existence is without consciousness. The action of the physical material to which we find ourselves immersed in operates under its physical laws. Each action of physical existence moves to its next action dependent on the previous action. This movement is without consciousness, as it never deviates from its prescribed laws of intermixture. Even in deep levels of existence, in quantum or string theory, where unusual actions may occur, it continues to bring either a consistency in the actions or a consistency in the inconsistency of the actions, and not actions that display a conscious manipulation. Paragraph 7. Our mental existence revolves around our physical existence. Each of us encapsulates a consciousness, like the yellow sun bubbles of the Palo Verde tree. We grow within it as light and bright leaves. We express ourselves like the excited spring song of birds. We are made from physical existence, and we grow according to its laws. Paragraph 8. Physical existence gave us our life and our mental life. It was through our physical existence that we evolved into the species we are today. Physical existence gave us our capacity to think, to reason, to solve problems, and to create new ideas. It was from physical existence that our thought existence arrived. By the action of physical existence, it created an existence that was separate from physical existence, yet dependent on it for its expression. Our thoughts, feelings, and senses were given life from the movement of physical actions that created the physical structure of our minds. Paragraph 9. We have the intellectual capacity that requires development of a thought system to function in our environment. Different systems of thought, as well as their level of development, determine the capability held by that capacity. Our different systems of thought can undergo an evolution. This evolution has its unique characteristics as it resides in a different existence than physical existence. We pass it not genetically, but pass it culturally. Unlike genetic evolution, where physical existence determines its placement, we can evaluate our thought systems to determine how well they serve us. It is under this evaluation that we must entertain the idea that our intellectual abilities need scrutinizing to find the best evaluative system of thought to meet and line up with realities to which we live in. Paragraph 10. Humankind have behaved differently from other species. We have seen many other species gain dominance to their environment. They thrive until they exhaust all their resources, at which time they become extinct or severely diminished. The action of physical existence provides intelligence to species for short-term survival. This is true because our physical existence operates without consciousness. Since physical existence is without consciousness, it only responds to immediate actions. It needs many different events for an organism to evolve a consciousness that could operate with long-term understanding. Our question is, do we have this advancement? Paragraph 11. Our human mind has limitations. Our physical existence engages in its unconscious actions. In doing so, it results in its expression of logic and not in a human expression of logic. Our human logic involves our consciousness and our ideas within it. When we evaluate the accountability position of any idea within our consciousness, we have to evaluate it against something. When we use our internal mind as the source to where we can place our idea of reality, we end with chaos. When we use our physical existence as the source to where we can place our idea of reality, we end with accountability and stability. Our human mind, under the action of thought, operates in a different existence than that of physical existence. Since conscious thought did not create the human mind, nature did not structure us for an inevitable form of reasoning with accountability, but for survival in a physical existence without any end in mind. Nevertheless, one of the unconscious artifacts with the action of the physical was to map the physical world and respond with survival behaviors. Because this was an unconscious development, this mapping to survive led to two human being characteristics. Paragraph 12. Characteristic 1. The development of mental animation. Physical existence resulted in animal form structure that assisted survival by mapping the physical world. Along with this mapping of the physical world came an evaluative format. From the results of this evaluative format came survival responses. The structure to which we achieved this evaluative format involved the development of a brain to hold and manipulate ideas. Our ideas are not singular entities. They are stored as a cluster of several sliver ideas that make a master idea. Because of this characteristic, we can acquire sliver ideas and shuffle them around to create new master ideas. These new master ideas operate independent to our physical existence. Now we have, by unconscious action of the motion of physical existence, an artifact that led to two different outcomes to human survival. Paragraph 13. Outcome 1. We could rearrange our sliver and master ideas to enhance correct evaluations that boost our survival in physical existence. We can demonstrate this with the narrowband example of finding fruit to eat. By mapping and developing ideas of location to know where to return, combined with ideas of different seasons over time, we can have movement to these ideas in sliver or master form to create a new master idea to know when to return. This adds to our survival ability. Note that all of these was reality-based. This enhanced survival came about by maintaining our connection to our physical reality. It also contains some elements of ideas that required moderate thinking in terms of time. Paragraph 14. Outcome 2. We could rearrange our sliver and master ideas to deteriorate our correct evaluations and diminish our survival in physical existence. We can demonstrate this with the same narrowband example. By mapping and developing ideas of location to food and when to go for the food, if the food was gone or destroyed by natural causes, humans could move sliver and master ideas in a way that they think an invisible entity was unhappy with them. We could begin to move our sliver and master ideas in a random fashion without connections to our physical world. One random move we made in our historical human past included human sacrifice to invisible entities. We could move our acquired sliver idea of fear from our experienced reactive response of fear to this invisible entity as well. This outcome of mental animation ability led us to deterioration. Paragraph 15. The effect of these two options evaluated. Because we have these two options available to our thinking, our capacity to engage in moderate to long-term survival has become connected to our ability to think in ways of survival that incorporate moderate to long-term interests. We need to break the typical cycle of other diminutive thinking animals. Our survival for the long term requires not only physical world actions, but also our development of an evaluative system of thought that brings in long-term understanding of the physical world to which we live in. We must understand that there are times where short-term self-interest leads to the destruction of or hardships for our future generations. We need to tap into our relationship with our physical existence. When we consider self-interest, we must consider it under short to long-term self-interest and in relation to the individual and across all individuals. We then have individual self-interest and all individual self-interest applied to any proposed self-interest. Paragraph 16. The progressed evolution of thinking animals. Since our action of physical existence is unconscious, the options it provides us as cognitive animals are that we survive well, survive poorly, or become extinct. If we develop a reality-based system of thought, we may continue to survive and survive well. If we continue with our non-reality-based and unaccountable systems of thought, we will become extinct or survive poorly. Paragraph 17. Characteristic 2, short-term versus long-term. Since our Creator is an unconscious action, living beings result with short-term survival. Its actions are in reaction to immediate cause and effect. From our human point of view, this resulted in development of animals where their reactions to needs were short-term. Any development of physically created mental animating minds that engage in long-term actions or understandings was an unconscious creation. When physical existence created a thinking organism like this, it was by the unconscious convergence of numerous physical requirements and balances that allowed this type of mind to develop. Paragraph 18. We need human thinking with long-term understanding to survive as a species. Since we can animate ideas in an unaccountable and accountable form, we have developed both a technological society of significant advancement, while at the same time we continue to kill, enslave, and coerce one another. Along with our technological advances come additional stresses and conflicts with long-term survival. We do not respond to the balance needed for our Earth to sustain life. We do not consider the long-term effects when we diminish and deplete our natural resources. If our survival occurs just under the threshold of extinction, the quality of human existence becomes a poor existence. Under this, we have a lot of suffering. When we have human or animal suffering, it involves a living being with consciousness or awareness of that suffering. Any human-created actions that leads to suffering without physically based justifications is immoral action. Paragraph 19. We have different requirements between actions from physical existence and actions from systems of human thought. Physical existence is without consciousness or awareness. It operates under its code of conduct, which is the action of the physical material. When we have earthquakes or tsunamis, it was occurrence without conscious actions. Our human actions operate under its code of conduct, which derives from our human thought and the movement of our ideas. This movement of ideas involves sliver and master ideas. We are required, as conscious beings, to operate our code of conduct measured against the physical world. We are required because we are physical beings, and the equations for our code of conduct between us reside in the physical. This is our moral source to discover our required code of conduct. When we maintain reality to real-world physical existence, we lead ourselves to our understanding of science. It will be our maintenance of reality where we can find the balance to our physical existence to maintain our survival within it. Our relational balance to our physical environment led us to our human code of conduct between us and to all other living creatures and physical structures. Our physically based code of conduct requires us to maintain our balance of moral actions. Our balance of moral action leads us to quality survival in terms of balanced happiness and fulfillment of life experiences. This is our beginning to eliminating unjustified coercion. Paragraph 20. We must study and understand ideas so that we can maintain a system of accountable thought with them. We must accept ideas under their terms, not ours. Various philosophers have seen the importance of understanding the structure of ideas. John Locke understood that the study of ideas was our beginning to understanding ourselves. He wrote in his essay on human understanding, Bibliography 8, Chapter 1, Paragraph 8, quote, "I must here in the entrance beg pardon of my reader for the frequent use of the word idea, which he will find in the following treatise, it being that term which, I think, serves best to stand for whatsoever is the object of the understanding when a man thinks." End of quote. Hume wrote at the beginning of his book, A Treatise on Human Nature, Bibliography 9, page 5, quote, "By ideas I mean the faint images of these in thinking and reasoning, such as, for instance, are all the perceptions excited by the present discourse, excepting only those which arise from sight and touch, and excepting the immediate pleasure or uneasiness it may occasion." End of quote. Isaac Watts, at the beginning of his book, Logic, or the Right Use of Reason in the Inquiry After Truth, started by defining ideas as, Bibliography 10, page 8, quote, "An idea is generally defined a representation of a thing in the mind. It is a representation of something that we have seen, felt, heard, etc., or been conscious of." End of quote. Isaac Watts, like David Hume and John Locke, started their treatises on the subject of defining ideas because without understanding ideas and how they work, we cannot begin to bring accountability to them. Paragraph 21. Perhaps we have been using a false standard of measurement with our ideas. Sigmund Freud wrote, Bibliography 11, page 10, quote, "It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement." End of quote. Have we been using a false standard of measurement to our ideas? And if so, how long? Have we been living in our physical world, or have we been trying to escape it? Nevertheless, we are of the physical world. We are made of it, and we flow through it like fish in water. We breathe it, we eat it. It enters and leaves our bodies constantly. Why then do we ignore the entering of it by our senses into our minds? Physical existence is not just outside of us. It has a relationship in us as well. Paragraph 22. Our relationship with physical existence and our thought existence is the true extension of our Creator. Freud also wrote, Bibliography 12, page 233, quote, "It is asking a great deal of a man who has learnt to regulate his everyday affairs in accordance with the rules of experience and with due regard to reality, that he should entrust precisely what affects him the most nearly to the care of an authority which claims as its prerogative freedom from all the rules of rational thought." End of quote. We have a relationship with physical existence that sets up our need for rules of experience. Even reason and rational thought involves the acceptance of intellectual nihilist to which we lose our relational actions with physical existence. Freud wrote about intellectual nihilist, Bibliography 12, page 240. Quote, "It is true that they start out from science, but they succeed in forcing it to cut the ground from under its own feet, to commit suicide, as it were. They make it dispose of itself by getting it to refute its own premises." End of quote. Reason and rational thought does not have a requirement to stay connected to physical existence. In allowing this, we can animate anything and falsely attach the sliver idea of reality to it. Freud recognized our relational need for rules of experience. He wrote, Bibliography 12, page 233, quote, "This correspondence with the real external world we call truth." End of quote. Paragraph 23. We can see this evolving physical relationship in how our words evolve over time, giving us evidence of how human beings move sliver ideas. The education Friedrich Nietzsche received was in classical philology, considered a science, but a science of reviewing ancient texts and submitting a critical analysis. This included the study of language that focused on precision in meaning and following its changes over time. Friedrich Nietzsche understood the movement of sliver ideas and their subsequent effect. Nietzsche stated, Bibliography 14, page 22, these two words, bad and evil, how great a difference do they mark, unquote. He showed us how the idea like bad, with the attachment of an idea about a higher conscious authority operating in a non-existent spiritual world, could change the idea of bad and create a word evil. The word evil could bring with it many manufactured ideas of justice and the manufactured base justifications to commit atrocities against our counterparts, be it men, women, or children. These ideas without connections to the physical world could animate a surgeon saving the life of a human being as an act of evil. A person of one thought existence could animate the helping action of a person that held a different thought existence than they as an act of evil. A person with false reality ideas that broke our moral equality could animate people of a different race or a different sexual orientation as evil. Because the idea of evil broke from the connections to the physical world, a person could animate any random, unjustified, and unaccountable idea with the idea of reality attached to the idea of evil. Paragraph 24. The closer we maintain our connections to physical existence, the better our reality aligns. The idea of bad contains within it a more compassionate outlook, which is, it does not carry the action of a vengeful swung hammer as the word evil does. The application of justice, reality-based or non-reality-based, that comes from bad comes from a human being, whereas the application of justice, reality-based or non-reality-based, that comes from evil comes from a human being that wishes to act as a god. In this respect, Nietzsche was correct. The person that holds the idea of evil can be more of a brute. Paragraph 25. Freud recognized the fundamental principle that reality and thought existence had a relationship. Our sensory existence is the player to the physical world around us. Our sensory existence is then our source to our reality. We bring that information in, and when we later animate new ideas with the movement of sliver ideas, how we maintain the sliver idea of reality determines whether we are animating with accountability or without accountability. Freud wrote of the reality principle. However, he presented it as a developmental separation where we learn to differentiate ourselves from the physical world. He wrote, Bibliography 11, page 14 to 15, quote, "One comes to learn a procedure by which, through deliberate direction of one's sensory activities and suitable muscular action, one can differentiate between what is internal, what belongs to the ego, and what is external, what emanates from the outer world." End of quote. He beautifully expressed the learning process where we as infants begin to distinguish between the physical world and ourselves. He followed with, Bibliography 11, page 15, quote, "In this way, one makes the first step towards the introduction of the reality principle, which is to dominate future development." End of quote. What we human beings forget to do is maintain accountability to the sliver idea of reality in our future development. Paragraph 26. Freud recognized that in time our thought existence could begin to animate independently to physical existence. Freud wrote, Bibliography 11, page 15, quote, "Originally the ego includes everything. Later it separates off an external world from itself. Our present ego feeling is, therefore, only a shrunken residue of a much more inclusive, Indeed, an all-embracing feeling which corresponded to a more intimate bond between the ego and the world about it. End of quote. What Freud described was actually the most fundamental problem with humankind. Instead of separating off from the external world, where we now animate as a separate entity, we need to maintain the relational aspects of the external world and our mental life. This separation allows the religious feeling of infinity, or the oceanic feeling, as Freud referred to it, to create a separate animation room without any requirements to maintain the accountability position of the sliver idea of reality. Paragraph 27. We can develop a system of thought to assure ideas are accountable. First, we remove the human being as the source of accountability to ideas. We do this by not measuring the ideas against the backdrop of the human mind. We take ourselves out of the equation to any given idea. Second, we bring in the realities that present themselves to us. This reality is our physical existence. This physical existence has a prescribed code of conduct in relation to itself. This code of conduct is not human-made. The meaning of physical existence is to move in its prescribed laws to the subsequent set of actions. Since we are not only living in physical existence, but created from it, it is our only reality. Reality is in relation to our reality of physical existence and the forms that it creates to which we measure our ideas against. As any idea not in relation to this reality is a non-reality idea. This is how we maintain our accountability. A non-reality idea is not from our physical world. Therefore, it becomes an unaccountable idea to the truth of existence. Paragraph 28. We can bring accountability to ideas. Since we know that our physical existence is our truth to existence, we can measure against it. By measuring our ideas against our physical existence, we can bring an evaluative system of thought to determine its relational position. This provides us a system of thought that can bring accountability to any given idea. Paragraph 29. We can bring accountability to ideas related to our moral code of conduct. Since all ideas are accountable, we can even bring accountability to ideas of morality. Our moral code of conduct derives from physical existence and is relational between all of physical existence and us. This code of conduct involves all physical entities, be they human beings, animals, or physical structures. Our moral code of conduct between human beings derives from our physical existence and relates to our human physical makeup that the action of the physical has made. Paragraph 30. The name of this system of thought is Seryla philosophy. Since measuring ideas against the backdrop of our physical existence involves evaluations of its relational aspects, any idea given is open to discussion by all people. Therefore, all ideas given as reality or truth are thesis presentations. If we are interested in truth and reality, which includes the correct moral code of conduct, we seek ideas that stand up to thesis presentation and discussions. This means that ideas that stand as thesis is a movement towards our reality and truth. Because of this, we call this system of thought Seryla philosophy. Addendum. Seryla philosophy was originally presented as thesism. However, I changed the name to Seryla philosophy to help distinguish it from any confusion that the word thesism may imply. End of addendum. Paragraph 31. Seryla philosophy is important. Seryla philosophy is important to our discussion about long-term survival. If we are to break the historical and behavioral actions of species that dominate their environment until they deplete all their resources, followed by their extinction or extreme suffering, we need a good and solid system of thought that matches our technological advancements. Survival in the long term can only occur when we can identify non-justified coercion by how it violates our physical realities. Once we use a system of thought that measures against the physical world, we can recognize unjust human coercion, and we can release our freedom and liberty. Only when we tune to our reality can we make our long-term decisions so that our future children can not only survive, but also live with a quality life. This ends Episode 4, Human Survival with Our Creator, Physical Existence. In the next episode, we will cover Thought Existence, How Ideas Work. Thank you for watching and listening to Seryla Philosophy. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not, please do. And remember to lovingly hit that like.